Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode on Boundary Line Podcast. My name is Dylan, and I got Sheldon with me here. And today we're going to be discussing the Border-Gavaskar Trophy. It's been high time, Sheldon. And are you excited for the series?
Yeah, Dil, first of all, good to be back. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and yeah, a great series to start off with.
Yeah, looking forward towards it, Sheldon. I mean, yeah, this has been highly anticipated, and I can't imagine, and there's been a lot of, mind games that have already been played. Just want to know your thoughts on that.
You think by all the talk, there's been like five games happen on five dust bowls already. I mean, they're showing pictures every day. Everyone's talking about Ashwin. They got like a guy who looks like him as well. A lot of stuff happening before a ball has been bowled.
Yeah, and I see Ian Chappell has said something, and Ravi Shastri and Rudan has said something else to that. So there's all this build up towards it, and I can imagine. I think Australia are back in India. I think after a very long time. I think almost 6 years, 5 to 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. 2017 was the last
Yeah.
Border-Gavaskar trophy that was played in India. After that, of course, India kept traveling to Australia, and right now are the holders of the Border-Gavaskar trophy. But today, Sheldon, for our audience who are watching this on YouTube, I think we just to give you a bit of heads up, today we're going to be discussing, just a few points on both the teams, Australia and India. But first things first, Sheldon, Australia are leading the World Test Championship currently. What do you think about that and their mind frame going into this series?
I think they did very well at home, but against I'd say two very poor sides coming into it. I think West Indies, I mean, they were pretty weak and what looked like one of the worst African sides we've seen in a long time. Talking about pitches in general, I mean, Australia were complaining about the ones in India, but that one in the first test against South Africa, 2 day match.
That was bad. Yeah, I still remember.
Ironic, yeah.
It was really bad.
Yeah, exactly. But they've been in good form, Australia. They won in Pakistan as well. They drew a series in Sri Lanka. So they've had experience in Asia, but this is the big one, isn't it? The final frontier, as they've called it.
Yeah,
And
and I think it was Steve Smith who said that winning in India is much more bigger than winning the Ashes. And I was like,
yeah,
what is this guy saying? Like, I mean, I always thought that Ashes was the ultimate for, for Australia and England, but it seems that Steve Smith and the others have different opinions.
yeah, it was a big statement to make. I mean, it's ironic Smith made it. He hasn't won in England or India. So how does he know which is bigger?
But Sheldon, considering the fact that, Australia has never won a series in India since 2003, 2004. I think it was 2004 that that was a series. I think when Michael Clark also was, I think he joined newly, and he scored that match-winning 100 on debut, if I remember correctly. So I think that was a year when they won, they won a series in India. So say, and yeah, they would be looking forward to this, and I can imagine, why Stevens would have said, that winning in India is much more bigger because they've come after that and many a times, but still failed to win a series in India.
Yeah, I think especially last time also. I remember when they took the lead in the first game as well on a ranked run, and they had a good chance coming to the second game. But
Yeah.
then it just showed how tough it is to win in India because as soon as they get that little momentum, they swing it back and then they found a way to win. But on Smith's point, I mean, he was amazing last time he came to India as well. I think he had a superb 100 in Pune and even in Ranchi.
Yeah,
Like
Ranchi as
he
well.
was, yeah. But I think that is also a problem for Australia that it's only Smith who's done it in India, and like that is an issue as well for them.
Coming to our next point, Sheldon, and this is a link to the first one that
Yeah,
it seems that Australia have a good top five, like right now. I mean, with the test matches they've played before, especially last year and heading into this year, this the last few series that they completed, seems that they have a good top five in Warner, in Khawaja, Labuschagne, Smith. So how well are these guys gonna adapt? That's the thing, because we're playing in Australia, and mind you, I think they've only played like two series away, and one was in Sri Lanka. If I know. Was the
yeah.
series in Sri
They
Lanka,
played
right?
in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Who
drew
the
1-1
other
there
one
as well.
was?
Yeah,
Where did they play the other series in?
in Sri Lanka and Pakistan were their two away
Pakistan.
series.
Pakistan. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to say anything about how those games were, because man. it
It
just
was,
felt like they're batting on board there. So I mean, that's a different experience. Although I will give credit to them that they went there and they won. Okay, so that's that's that. But how do you feel? How do you feel for them, like coming to India? And how do you think they're going to play?
I think very soon tomorrow they'll find out this is not in Australia. There's no bounce. It's not going to be pace coming onto the bat. I think they've done very well of late. Their top five, especially at home. I think especially Khawaja last year was in great form. I think he was the inform opener last year as well, and he did play spin well in UAE, but I'm sorry in Pakistan. But who doesn't play well there? I mean, it's as flat as it gets there. So it'll be a different challenge for him. And what's funny is before the Pakistan series and before he played in the UAE, no one thought of him as a good player of spin. So I mean, this narrative has changed, but he's only done it in Pakistan. So it'll be interesting to see how he'll play Ashwin and Akshar Patel maybe.
Yeah, I feel Usman Khawaja has been like highly underrated. You know,
Yeah.
given the fact that he's played so well, and I think he's in fact Australia's highest scorers for last year, like the most
Yeah.
number of runs last year. So Usman Khawaja has done really well, and I feel he's going to be one important guy, because he plays spin like you said really well. So really looking forward to
Yeah.
that. What about the likes of Labuschagne and Head? Because these two guys were the guys like who scored also a lot in Australia, but I think it's a whole different ball game for them. Coming into India, and especially for Labuschagne, there's a whole lot of thing written about him that's he's currently the best test batsman and things like that. But I feel if he does well in India, I would rate him really high because he's played majority of his games in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Scored all those
Yeah.
runs in Australia. I mean, he failed to do it in I think he just got 100 in Sri Lanka only.
Yeah. Yeah.
But apart from that, he's not scored like anywhere else. So how do you think like he's gonna do now?
Yeah. I think I saw a stat which said his average at home is 60 and his average away is 30. And that includes series in Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So it is a bit of a drop off. But yeah, the ultimate test. He's been talking about how he's been working on his mindset to play Ashwin and all, but it's a different thing when you get onto the pitch and you play him on a
He
on
can
a
he
spinning
can
track.
dream about that all he wants. Ashwin, just feel Ashwin and the likes of Aksar, Kuldeep Yadav, they'll be really wanting to go hard against these guys, all right? But
Yeah.
coming to our next topic, Sheldon, is that I feel there's a lot of injury woes also, like around both teams for that matter. In India, of course, they got Bumrah and everyone who are not there, but for Australia, they don't have Josh Hazelwood, Mitchell Stark not there. Cameron Green also is an issue now. So I don't know how they're gonna adapt, especially for the first test, because you wanna do well, especially right in that first test. And if you do that mentally, like if you win the first test, then mentally everything changes, right?
Yeah, I think especially for the first test, I think Stark especially is a big loss because I don't think all three of the seamers would have played. I think Australia anyway would have gone for Cummins and +1, so it probably would have been Stark. I do think that's a big loss, especially for the first game. As you said, you want to get your best team out and you want to start. And especially in India, if you go 1-0 down, that
Yeah.
is a tough place to come back from. It could easily go downhill.
It's really difficult to come back after that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. What I read was they were going to give Hanscom a chance to be in the squad for the first test. So looking forward to that. But coming to the spin options for Australia, thinking about the likes of Lyon, Swepson, Agar, and I don't know who's I think they got a fourth spinner there. It was Lyon,
Yeah,
Swepson, Agar, and
Todd Murphy.
Todd Murphy. Yeah, Todd
Yeah,
Murphy.
yeah.
Going into this series and this first test, who do you think rather are the most important for the team right now for Australia?
I think it's a tough one because Lyon's obviously their best spinner and he's going to start. But even Lyon, his record against India isn't as great as it should be. I remember even when they played in Australia, Australia played him pretty well for
Yeah,
most parts.
yeah.
So it's a lot of pressure on Lyon, especially. And Agar, I don't know. Whenever I see him, he looks more like he's a better batsman than a bowler. Like I wouldn't trust him as like a second spinner. And Swepson played in Pakistan. To be fair to him, it was really flat in Pakistan, but he just didn't look, like a test spinner at that level. So what I'm hearing is Todd Murphy may play, and I think a month ago none of us knew he existed as a cricket player. So
I was like,
it's
who's this guy, Todd Murphy into the team. Although what's linked to this is I feel Adam Zampa is one spinner who missed out. There's there's been a lot of chit chat around him that he was initially going to be in the team, and they said yes if he's going to do well, and he did well, but he was really disappointed that he didn't get picked. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and he also has a reasonably good record in white ball cricket against India as well, I think, right? When he bowled in the previous series. It's a tough one though, because I think he didn't play enough first class matches, or he only played a few first class matches.
Yeah.
No, but I think sometimes you just don't take that into consideration. Like we've seen Zampa bowl in international cricket, and we know he's a good bowler. So sometimes maybe you just don't go with first class and just throw him in, because you know he can bowl against those batsmen.
Also, I feel that Zampa's experience in India,
Yeah,
he plays a lot in the IPL. He plays a lot of one days, T20s in India. So I think I felt he had the advantage, although playing red ball and white ball is different.
yeah,
But I felt he had that advantage. But like you said, yes, you cannot take that those things into consideration. It's purely based on form at that point,
yeah.
and I don't know if they pick, but it's interesting to see how Australia go about and who they're going to pick now. Of course, Lions going to start, but looks like Agar may play. Also, I feel Boland. What about this guy Scott Boland? I know England hate the sight of him, but Scott Boland seems to be the guy who's going to play the first test.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he starts off similar in India like he did in Australia. I
My
mean,
God.
he's not played a test outside of Australia, so that's big pressure. So
Yeah,
him or Lance Morris, whoever plays, haven't played a game away from home. Lance Morris hasn't played a test match in general, so it's big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
So it's
those are certainly big shoes to fill, Sharon. And I think if Australia go on to lose this first test, then it's going to be very difficult for Boland and likes of Morris, everyone for them to to get back up. I feel because I feel Nagpur is the only test I feel that Australia have a good chance of going
yeah.
up in the series. For I think even I'm not sure if South Africa won one test in, and I think there was a Nagpur test, I think, which they won. I think Dale Steyn
I
bowled
think
like
so.
well.
Yeah. I think
If I'm right, I may be wrong. Overall, Sheldon, now since we've assessed Australia and the team the way they are, what's going to be the final score for Australia? Do you think they would at least win like one test?
I think for starters they have to win the toss tomorrow. I think the only way they have a chance is if they somehow bat first and somehow get to an okay score where the bowlers can fight back into the game. Because I feel if they lose this game, I see it being 4-0. Like I see it being like that because once India get on top and the spinners start, causing havoc and go into the minds of the Australian batsmen, and India's batsmen start scoring as well, it can become very tough. So I do think they have to start well tomorrow, and they need either Boland or one of their spinners to produce a miracle like Steve O'Keefe did in Pune back in 2016.
Yeah, let's see tomorrow. We would know after the end of the first day or how things
Yeah.
stand. And now moving on to India, Sheldon. Of course, India also have been playing really well, and this I think red ball has been back in India now after a long time. And but of course they have some injury woes as well with Rishabh Pant having that freak accident and uh, unlikely going to play the rest of the year, from what we've read. But of course, they don't have even Jasprit Bumrah in the first test. How do you think they're going to approach this? I mean, they are the firm favorites to win this series.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma back, into the test squad. Although he was there in Bangladesh, but I think he was not okay. I think he was injured or something, and
Yeah, I think he got injured in the last ODI or something, right? And then he
last
wasn't
one, yeah,
able to play.
didn't play. So that's what I will, Rohit Sharma back in red ball also after a long time.
It's an interesting one also because KL Rahul captained, I think, in Bangladesh, right, for the last two test matches.
Right.
And you're not even sure whether he's going to start. So I wanted to ask you, Dil, actually, who opens with Rohit Sharma come tomorrow? Because I think that's been a debate, whether it'll be Rahul or the informed player in India cricket, Gill, right? Because he's been amazing as well. So
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Sheldon, but I would stick to KL Rahul for this.
yeah,
He certainly got the experience. Yes, he's not done entirely well, off late, But looking at his record, against Australia, or even against England, for that matter, he's done well in the blast. It's just that off late, a few test matches, he's not been the best of break, and that can happen to anyone. So I
Yeah,
think he would start, him being the vice captain. So Rohit and Rahul will definitely open for sure, followed of course by Pujara, Virat Kohli, and that number fifth spot is going to be open. I think for either Gill or Surya Kumar Yadav. According to me, I feel Sky is going to be given a chance. I think this time because he's also scored heavily in
yeah,
as well. Although he's not played any Test match for India yet, he still has to make his debut. But he knows the drill. He knows these grounds, so
yeah,
he's advantage for him. And of course, he's doing so well right now, playing white ball like a dream. And
yeah.
but I still feel they should give Surya Kumar a chance.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Surya Kumar would be perfect at five, especially if the pitches are a bit spicy and you need some quick runs from your middle order. You could just
Yeah.
come in and hit a quick 550 to change the game, and that would be like ideal at that spot. Especially because they're missing Rishabh Pant as well in the middle order, so he'd be like a perfect swap for that because he can play not obviously same like him, but a similar type of style, with that counter-attacking style of play.
Another issue India is having is, the selection between Ishan Kishan and KS Bharat as the wicket keeper, right? Because of course you got Rahul there you can keep, but
Yeah,
I would say Rahul in tests is a big no for me.
yeah,
You need to give it to someone who's done well behind the stumps over a long period of time. And I think Ishan Kishan also has not played any. He's yet to make his debut for India. Both, in fact, KS Bharat and Ishan Kishan
yeah.
yeah, are yet to make their debut. So this could be a good chance for them in the absence of Rishabh Pant. And if either of them get a chance, how important it is for them, Sheldon?
Yeah, very important. Not like either of them would make their debut as well, and they can, solidify themselves at number six as well. I, I actually don't know how they're going to go for it. I think KS Bharat's more of a solid player. I think that he's with a more solid technique, but then Kishan has that X factor which you love to see. But then, do you want that at five and six, or you want a little bit, of reliability as well in there? So that's an interesting one. I think they'll go with Bharat though. I'm intrigued to see because I think he's been doing well in county as well for some time.
KS Bharat has been making the rounds. He was with the Indian team in
I think
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He was with them there as well. So he knows, I mean, he was in the squad but not picked. So I feel they may go ahead with him, but also given the fact that India have too many right-handers, in the team. Like, if you're gonna pick Surya Kumar Yadav and KS Bharat also. So that's up till number
yeah,
six. They're all right-handers. You don't have any
yeah,
left-hander. So your only left-hander, if they play Ravindra Jadeja, he walks in after that, right?
yeah.
So your top six batsmen are all right-handers. So maybe to give it a small change in the batting order, they may just go with Ishan. It's left to be seen. That's a big call as well. Our next topic to discuss is the return of the spin magician, Mr. Ravindra Jadeja. Excited to see that guy back. Of course, had a freak injury back last year. I think it was during the World Cup that he had that injury, and so now he's back. So Sheldon, excited to see this guy play, man.
Yeah, it's been a while actually. It is genuine excitement to see him. I mean, and he's 360. He fielding, bowling, batting. He's just a perfect all rounder, especially in Indian conditions. He's even better. He was player of the series as well the last time in
Yeah.
Australia came to India, and he bowled superbly well. And to all those Australian right-handers which are there, he would cause them havoc as well. And yeah,
Yeah.
he's just so accurate as well. And with the bat, he's so reliable. I remember his 100 in England, in that game they played last year as well,
Yeah.
which was a brilliant knock. And he's just a fantastic cricketer, and he'll
I
definitely add
feel
to the
I feel
spectacle.
he's a I feel he's a bit underrated, right? Rohit Sharma, with him being back, Sheldon, what do you think, is going to be the big thing for Rohit Sharma? Of course, first time he's going to be captaining in India. So what do you think, is going to be the big thing for Rohit Sharma tomorrow?
Yeah, it feels like he's been captain for a while, but he hasn't captained that much in the time. It always feels like either he's injured or the vice captain is in charge. So it's going to be like his first big real test, and it's intriguing to see how he'll go, especially in a big test series against Australia. Will he, keep his emotions in check? Can he manage the pressure? But I think more important than his captaincy, India will want his runs because he's key as well at the top of the order. And I remember one of the knocks he played when England came over in that second test match. He made a terrific 100 on a spinning track in Chennai. And
Chennai.
it just shows that, yeah, he's as important with the bat. He hit a terrific 100 at Lords, I think, as well. So it's just his captaincy is important, but I think his batting is as important.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, his record in India also has been absolutely amazing. Rohit Sharma. So looking forward to it. So important question then. What's going to be the final scoreline at the end of the four matches, Sheldon?
I might get this horribly wrong after one test match, but I'm going 4-0 to India.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, 4-0.
I'm
Are
going,
you serious?
I'm going 4-0 to India, like the great Glenn McGrath used to say back in the day for his side. No, but I just think, and just being genuine, I just think if Australia go down that first game, it'll be very hard for them to win a game. So I do think they will go down in that first game, and then after that as well. I just
Australia.
don't see them having enough. You
Yeah.
do? A little more realistic than me?
I feel it's going to be 2-1 to India. I do see Australia winning at least one test match. Probably they got a chance in Nagpur. I do see Australia winning, but yeah, India are firm favorites, man. You can't go into, and I mean, they've done so well in Ahmedabad as well. It will be difficult to win in India. Everyone knows that, and it's just that the home record that India have against any team, beat any team. Who do you think is going to end up scoring the most number of runs, and the player's going to take the most number of wickets?
I think now that I went 4-0, I can't really go for Australia for this answer. For most runs, I'll go with Kohli. I think he loves playing against Australia, and I think he'll come good this series. And for most wickets, I'll stick with Jadeja because I think he'll do well. And I think they've been focusing only on Ashwin, like India don't have any other bowlers. I mean,
But if you had to pick like one guy from Australia and one guy from India, for the most number of runs and whoever's going to score the most runs and wickets, who are you going to pick?
for Australia, it has to be Smith. I think he batted superbly last time as well, and he's a freak, man. He averages 60 in India as well. Like, where does that guy struggle? His stats are just unbelievable, and I remember his 100 in Pune as well because that was on a Turner as well, which
Oh, no,
was
yeah.
ripping
Yeah.
side to side, and he was just superb. But again, for Australia, I think that's the issue that it's all on Smith, and but I do think he'll be top scorer again. What about you for Australia? Who do you think top run scorer? Anyone other than Steve?
I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna back the guy who's been in form and who's been doing so well. I'm gonna go with Usman Khawaja. Um, I feel he's in red hot form as well. He's just back of a big 100. Coming to India is not easy, but I do feel he can give Smith. I mean, he and Smith together, if both of them get going, one of them are going to get it. But since you chose Steve Smith, I'm gonna go out and say Usman Khawaja.
And for wicket takers, what do you think? If you had to
Wicket
say.
takers, I would say Nathan Lyon for Australia, of course. I mean, you gotta pick a guy who can spin, right? For India, I'm gonna go out and depending on his fitness, I would say Ravindra Jadeja again. But if not, I'm gonna go ahead with Ravi Ashwin.
I think it's good that you mentioned as well fitness because of course today is just coming back from a pretty serious injury. So I do wonder if they might rotate him and rest him because they have Kuldeep as well in the squad, right? So maybe if
Exactly.
they were playing another spinner. So
Are you going ahead with the Jadeja also, or no?
uh, I was going to, but then you said about his injury, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe he won't play all the games. It's hard to go past Ashwin, is it? I mean, all the hype, all the build up, it almost feels like it's Ashwin versus Australia's left-handers, right?
Yeah, I feel this series should be like renamed to the Ashwin Lion Trophy. Because all the talk
Yeah.
right now has just been going around Ashwin and Lion. Oh my God, they're gonna Lion's gonna take these many wickets. Ashwin's gonna take these many wickets. But I think don't rule out the likes of Pat Cummins. and the likes of Mohammad Shami also who's done so well recently. So that wraps up the discussion on the Border-Gavaskar Trophy.